Alright, long day. Did a lot. Still have other things to do, so I'm just going to lay here in my room and film this whole video with one shot. Today is 5 things to look for when table changing. In a Q&A video about a month ago or so, I don't know, 6 weeks ago, I answered a question about when to table change. This is if you've decided to table change, what are you looking for in your next table? So, first one is going to be... the list is over there. I gotta remember them. First one is going to be as few backpacks, sunglasses, and headphones that you could find. So, sunglasses, you don't see a ton of them anymore, and that's not a huge deal. The thing is, the backpacks and the headphones are usually an indicator that someone is planning to play poker and planning to play for a very long time. There are people who want to play, but not for that long. There are people who don't really plan on playing. The best evidence of that was Planet Hollywood, the second to last location in Planet Hollywood. People just walked past the tables in the middle of the casino floor, and like 10 seconds before they saw the poker tables, they didn't know they were going to be playing poker that night. They would just walk by, see it, and play. Those people didn't have headphones. Those people didn't have backpacks. So a lot of people with backpacks and headphones have planned this poker session and have planned to play for a long time. There's a lot of things in the backpacks, chargers, sustenance, things like that, and they're going to listen to music or like watch movies for a long time, and they have their headphones. So that's an indicator that someone really like wants to be playing poker. They might not be the greatest players in the world. They might be very bad. They might be average, whatever. But they're like taking poker seriously, and they plan to be there for a very long time. So if you see those, that might be something to avoid. The second one is... trying to remember my list. Not recognizing anyone. So this, you can do this if you play in the room a lot. For instance, when I play at MGM Grand in Vegas, I know a lot of the regulars who live in Vegas and play in MGM a lot. So if I look around, I don't like my table, and I look around, and a lot of the tables have like, I recognize like half the people. And there's one table I recognize nobody. That's awesome. Probably, I mean, the people could be good. They could take poker very seriously where they live, and they're in Vegas for like 3 days. I don't know, but rather try that table first than the tables filled with the people I know. But this is why when I'm in a new place, I don't table change much. In St. Louis, when I was on that road trip between Council Bluffs and Baltimore, in St. Louis, I didn't table change. In Columbus, I didn't. One of my days in New Orleans, I didn't. In Norman, Oklahoma, I didn't. I look around, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know any of these people. Everyone is someone I don't recognize. Everyone at my table is someone I don't recognize. Everyone at the other tables is someone I don't recognize. So I can't really tell if one table has a lot more regulars than the others, or if one table has fewer regular players than the others. So... if it's somewhere I'm going for like a day, usually just play the table I get at the start. But if I'm in Vegas, if I'm in Baltimore for a while, if I'm in Council Bluffs for a while, I know the people who live nearby and who play a lot, so I could use that one. Third one is large, messy stacks. So, say for instance, someone... okay, let me put it this way. People, when they have a lot of chips, a lot of physical chips in front of them. So say it's like $800, almost all in $5 chips. That's a lot of physical chips. People who are going to have like stacks of like 16, 17, 18, 25, 29, people whose like $1 chips will just be mixed in with the $5 chips. A $25 chip will be somewhere very odd. Or like... the stacks are just like sprawling to the left and the right in like one column or one row. It's probably an indicator that the person doesn't play often, or at least doesn't often have this much money in front when playing. So if it's someone who doesn't play often at all, that's awesome. You want to play against someone who doesn't have as much knowledge, as much experience. Even if it's someone who plays a lot, but just doesn't have a lot of chips on the table normally, that's good also. Say for instance, someone who always sits with $225. Okay, when that person plays 225 deep, that person has experience. That's what the person normally does. I'm not saying this person needs to be the greatest player in the world, but that person is in hands often $225 deep. Say that person gets a stack up to $950, and this doesn't happen often. This person isn't used to making decisions in hands with $950 behind. So what you often see is that person play a hand with $950 on the table as if he only has $225. And his mistakes are now amplified because some mistakes that he made when he had $225 in front are just amplified because now he has $950 in front. And there are some new mistakes, some new really severe mistakes because he's not used to playing this deep. So if you see messy chip stacks, that's awesome, especially large messy chip stacks. That's great too. Fourth thing is going to be looking at the Bravo screen, the Bravo display in the table. So you get to the table, you give your player's card to the dealer, and the dealer swipes you in. This is how you accrue time, comps, tier credits, etc. Even if you don't have a card, the dealer has to put in something so that when the floor looks at the computer, the floor knows how many seats are being played and how many seats are open. So people who don't have player's cards go in as a guest. So this is tough to do because how are you going to see the Bravo display on another table when you're playing your table? But if you know there are a lot of guests in the Bravo display, that's probably a great table. Probably a lot of people who don't play poker much. It doesn't need to be that. Some people forget their cards and don't care about the comps, don't care about getting put into the system manually. So it's not necessarily people who don't play a lot. And it could be someone, for instance, who plays a ton in Norman, Oklahoma, and just doesn't play in Vegas that much. So when he comes to Vegas, he doesn't have, a player's card for MGM properties. And when he plays at Bellagio, he just goes in as a guest. So it's not like a foolproof system, but it's probably going to be a softer table when there's a lot of people logged in as a guest. How do you know this, though? I hate when people walk around the room looking at the other tables and do it without subtlety and do it in this very predatory manner. There are people who will not like their table, walk to another table and just stand there and stare at the table for 5 minutes and watch every hand that's going on. I hate that. But you could just walk by a table and happen to glance, and even though the print doesn't seem very big, like when you walk behind the dealer past the poker table, you could look and you can see what it says in Bravo. So there are subtle ways to do it without staring people down and hovering over the table. That's one indicator, although that might be the most difficult one to know if it's happening from your table. Fifth one, last one. This might seem clear. The label I give this one, go to the tables with the most all-ins, or however many all-ins you're looking for. The most all-ins, the biggest raises, the raises where you play your best. Maybe one table is constantly getting raises pre-flop to 15. Maybe one table is constantly getting raises pre-flop to 25. Go to the one that fits your game best. Rice, how will I know what's going on the other tables? Listening. A lot of people don't use listening as much as you can. This is where loud, vocal, clear dealers come in handy. There's a guy in the Horseshoe Baltimore that I think of instantly. He announces almost all bets, almost all raises, almost all all-ins. So even if I'm playing a table 5 tables away from the table he's dealing, I hear almost every action that goes on every hand on that table, and I can get a great sense without being over there, without walking over there, without staring anyone down, without even looking in that direction, because I can hear everything going on that table. So it's usually just going to be the 2 or 3 tables closest to you. If there's a vocal dealer, some dealers are quiet, some dealers don't speak tons of English. But if you have a dealer in the room who's saying a lot of the action and saying it loudly, pay attention, listen, and you'll know what's going on a bunch of tables. So there you go. 5 things I look for when I've decided I'm going to table change, and maybe in the future I'll have 5 more. And remember, rice is a spoon food.